So I just talked to Krishanda. She's been working with you guys a little bit about kind of where we're at. She is new, so she's learning and she's doing a great job. But it sounds like there's a little bit of pushback, resistance from you guys. So I just thought it would be easier for us just to get into a room and kind of talk about where you guys are coming from so that I understand, and maybe just share with you guys a little bit about our process and why and what that looks like. So they introduced about 4 years ago a new safety assessment, and it had to do with the fact that we were getting calls on families and we weren't asking the right questions, and so we would focus on the target child, which in this case would be David. We wouldn't ask those obvious questions of children like, do you feel safe? And they had a child that died on one of our caseloads. So they changed how we do our assessment, and it's a much more thorough assessment. Obviously we can use common sense when it's a situation like this. So really at this point what we're asking for is that you let, and I don't care if you stand where you can hear us, like you're a parent, I expect that, like I want you to be protective of your children. It's nice to see parents do the right thing, that's good. But basically just a question of, do you guys feel safe? Is there anything that you need? Are you concerned about anything? That question is really the one that we need to ask. And so I guess my thoughts would be is what are your thoughts around that? What barriers do you see with that? So what we mean by safety is more all-encompassing as far as, are you getting 3 meals a day? Are you being locked in a closet? We're looking way beyond that, just crazy stuff. And so that was why we were just hoping that you would let us just visit with the kids. We used to be able to do in our system, click erroneous, and we go away.
Okay.
They have taken that away from us.
Okay, got it.
I wish we could do that, because then I would say, yes, give me that, let's click erroneous, and let's get out of your life. They've changed it. We can't do that.
Okay.
Okay, so who is they that's changed it?
The state, the feds, the federal government, and the state of Idaho.
Okay, and how long ago was this?
When did they pull that? It's probably been 4+ years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a policy that you guys have that we could be provided, or, if you guys have to have something that says that you have to do this?
No, most people don't question us like that's the thing.
Basically, here's where we're coming from. So you would have to provide us with statutory authority that shows that you have the right, by legal authority, to go beyond the original referral to ask us questions that are not related to the original referral. And where we're coming from is that we think that someone who referred to you was not in the know and was not one of the actual medical professionals in charge of David's case. So we have documentation from the medical professionals that say they were in the know and that the original referral was erroneous. And so we are able to provide that documentation to you from those medical professionals. And we are, because of the Constitution of the United States, are not willing to let you. And also because of statute, because Idaho recognizes parental authority in the home over their children, and since there's been no referral made to you about any of our other children, we would like to retain our constitutional abilities to go ahead and not allow you access to the other children, since there's no concern that's been raised with the department regarding them. Unless you can provide some legal authority that requires us to make them available to you.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of our standards.
Yeah, it would have to be a legal authority that obviously supersedes, the constitutional authority.
Well, and so here's the thing: in the state of Idaho, child protection, our legal stuff, like law enforcement, they can't go talk to your children without your permission. Child protection, because of what we do with child abuse and protecting vulnerable children, sometimes unfortunately from their parents, we have more authority to do that.
Even though you're in the child protection business, that you actually don't possess any more legal authority than a law enforcement officer when it comes to the Constitution of the United States. So a parent retains legal authority over their children. And so if we don't grant our consent, then you can't go to a court, according to our knowledge of the Constitution and court precedent, and obtain something that any other law enforcement officer cannot also obtain.
Okay, so I'm going to put a stop to this, because obviously you're taking a very legal stance on this. I was hoping that we could come together as individuals with our best intentions. We can get what we need. You can have your life back. Obviously you want to take this to a much more legal slant, which we can do that. So I will get a hold of our Deputy Attorney General I will ask her to provide some written documentation, and then I will staff it with my higher ups, and we can just look at possibly doing like a court summons, where we'll just have you guys come into court. You state on what authority you're refusing to cooperate with us, and then she can court order you to do it. And then at that point, you guys can decide what you want to do. Not saying that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to staff it up, but that's one of our options. I think that generally we have the best interests, the best intentions. Families usually realize that, bring their kids in, call it good, and we're done. And so, I don't know where you're coming from or why, but I respect that as a parent, that you're right. So I'll just look at it differently, and then we'll go from there.